Hello everyone, welcome back to Storytime with Coach. I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. Let's dive into a story that's both amazing and crazy at the same time. I spent most of my career in the United States Navy flying the EA-6B Prowler off of aircraft carriers all over the world. My first operational squadron was VAQ-136 over in Japan, where we were stationed in Atsugi, just outside of Tokyo. I was in Squadron VAQ-136, part of Carrier Air Wing 5, assigned to the USS Independence, or Indy as we called her. Flying in Japan and Asia in general was just amazing. Everything was new for me because it was my first squadron, and the countryside, the people, the places, everything was just exotic, and it was wonderful. Of course, flying off aircraft carriers anywhere in the world is an unbelievable experience and very difficult to relate to folks who haven't seen it or been around it. Since flying at the carrier is a very perishable skill and one becomes rusty very quickly, after any length of time away from the boat, we would have to do what was called bouncing up, which meant to do touch and goes at airfields, both daytime and nighttime, in preparation to get ready to go back out to the boat. Because Atsugi is so close to Tokyo and we have 80 airplanes to bounce up and get ready to go, they strongly encouraged us to use alternate facilities. One of those places that they wanted us to go fly at was Iwo Jima because there's nobody out there. Iwo Jima is about 760 miles due south of Tokyo. It's about 6 square miles, maybe 7 square miles, and if you look at it from above, it kind of looks like a pork chop. Iwo Jima was the last island captured by the United States before it invaded Okinawa in preparation for its eventual plans to attack Japan itself. The battle for the island was absolutely savage. Almost 19,000 Japanese were killed during the fighting, and over 20,000 American Marine casualties were taken. This represents the most casualties and the only time in the Marine Corps history up until that point where the Marines had received more casualties than they dished out. Today the island is quiet and peaceful when the aircraft aren't flying, a very stark contrast to what was going on there back in the 1940s. Now, a couple of things that we need to talk about so that the stage is really set for the story that's going to unfold. There's a single runway at Iwo Jima. It's runway 725, meaning you either land heading 070 or you land heading 025. Typically, with the weather patterns there, runway 07 is the one in use. Now, for this story, which happened at night, we would take off on runway 7, so we'd be flying heading 070, climb up to 1,200 feet, make a right-hand turn, and fly downwind past Mount Suribachi. Mount Suribachi is at the southwestern side of the island, rises about 500 feet above sea level, and the only thing that you would see on the mountain would be the red beacon warning of its presence as you were flying by. From there we would proceed 3 to 4 miles downwind until told to turn, and we'd turn back in and start lining up for runway 7 to come in on our approach. Okay, so far so good. Everything sounds pretty normal. But there are a few things extra about Iwo Jima you need to know about. First off, it is completely pitch black, with the exception of the red light on Mount Suribachi and the landing box, which is the size of the lighted area on the flight deck of the carrier. All the rest of the lights on the island are off, meaning it is pitch black. Second, because Iwo Jima is on the top of a volcano, it is hot. As a matter of fact, the runway has steam vents in it because it's so hot underneath. They couldn't figure out where to get the heat to go to, so they basically just made holes in the runway so steam could just come blowing up right on through the runway. Pretty amazing to see when you're taking off or landing. But that heat also makes a unique weather pattern over the airfield in that at night, there's almost always a cloud deck at 500 to 600 feet. That cloud deck, right below it, is just a layer of drizzle as the water is condensing and coming right back down. So you've got overcast, which means you've got no stars. You've got drizzle, which means your windshields are semi-obscured most of the time. And you've got very little visibility. Above 500 feet, you just can't see anything. You're completely on instruments. Now, a word about the EA-6B Prowler. The EA-6B Prowler was based on the A-6E Intruder, a two-man side-to-side medium attack bomber. The Prowler was extended 1.8 meters, and 2 more seats were put in the back to do the electronic warfare mission. The front cockpit had a pilot on the left-hand side and a navigator and co-pilot on the right-hand side. Now, the right-hand side was where I sat. The left-hand side, to facilitate the pilot being able to see in low visibility, had what we called windshield bleed air. In other words, you could actually blow hot air from the engines onto the windshield to keep it, to basically blow off any rain or snow or anything else that might accumulate on the windscreen as you're coming into approach, so that the pilot could see. The co-pilot side, the right-hand side, didn't have this feature. So if you wanted to look outside, you had to look out the quarter panel window. So you'd have to drop your head down and kind of peer out the side of the windscreen because the flat windscreen in front of you would be obscured by the snow or the rain. These factors meant that the pilot almost always had a better view of what was going on outside the aircraft than the navigator, and that makes sense because he's the one flying the airplane. So the night of our story, JP and I are crewed up to go and get our passes, and I don't remember if it was 6 or 8, however many we were supposed to get. But it was your typical night. It was overcast, there was drizzling, and into the darkness we were going to go. After we got airborne, initially everything was going fine. JP's flying the plane, mostly on instruments, except for the last 3/4 of a mile where he could see the field well. I'm backing him up on the instruments, especially on the last 3/4 of a mile, and he's handling everything outside the aircraft. I'm giving him windshield bleed air to keep his visibility good. And we touch down, and around we go again. So far, so good. On one of the passes, though, I remember going by Mount Suribachi and seeing the red light pass beneath our wing on the right-hand side, on my side of the plane. And as we start turning into final, we're a couple of miles away from the field, and JP is like, "Zip, I am having really a hard time seeing the runway." I give him another shot of bleed air to clear off his windscreen so he can see, and I scrunch down and look out my quarter panel window, tell him, "Hey, alignment looks good, tapes and gauges inside look good, everything looks fine." A few seconds go by, he's like, "Zip, I am really having a hard time seeing the runway." So I do the same thing. I give him a shot of bleed air to make sure his windscreen is clear. I can hear the windshield bleed air coming out, so I know he's getting it. I'm looking out my quarter panel and going, lineup looks good, tapes and gauges look good, everything looks good. And in the dark of the cockpit, I hear his voice come across again. And we're probably at 3/4 of a mile now, at 400 feet. "Zip, I am really having a hard time seeing lineup." And I look over at him, and he's got 2 pair of glasses on. Now, he wore a pair of glasses at night, which we called cheaters, and so he's wearing those. He's been wearing them all night, but now he's got 2 pair on. He's got 1 pair over another. His oxygen mask is hanging off, and all I can see is his big, giant buck Texan teeth, and he's squinting, trying to look through 2 sets of glasses at the same time at the runway at 400 feet. I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he doesn't even look at me. He's tilting his head up and down, trying to get a good view on the runway through his, whatever you call it, his 4 sets of glasses. And he's like, "Well, I've been having trouble with my night vision, so I figured, if 1 pair of glasses is good, 2's got to be better." While all this is going on, the plane ain't stopping. We're coming right on down the pipeline, right towards the runway. We touch down and off into the darkness we go again. But the whole way down, I'm thinking, after I see him with his glasses, my God, he's going to kill me. This crazy Texan is going to kill me. Well, obviously, he didn't kill us. And it was quite an interesting debrief afterwards. There is a saying, and I've heard it a whole lot lately, more so lately than probably in years past. Play stupid games, get stupid prizes. And this probably would have qualified as one of those things. If we had actually crashed, they would have found, in the wreckage, they would have found that he had 2 sets of glasses out probably. And that would have been something that just couldn't be explained. Now, this is my opinion, and I can't point to anywhere in Scripture that proves this, but I believe that God saved us at the same time he was just laughing his head off at the craziness that was going on in our cockpit, because I think that there are plenty of times that he protects us from ourselves just because he's having such a good time watching us and laughing. I have to make one more comment about JP. JP was a great pilot and someone who I love flying with. He was a great stick, he was a good friend, and I would have flown anywhere with him at any point in time. I flew combat with him and never ever worried about his ability to get us out of trouble if we found ourselves in it. So with that, I hope you had a good laugh hearing this story, and at my expense. JP had certainly a laugh at my expense, but I hope you had a laugh at my expense too, because it is pretty funny. It wasn't at the time, but I hope that puts a smile on your face and you have a great rest of your day wherever you may find yourself. Bye.